Welcome, Internet, to the PixelPlay podcast, your weekly podcast where we get together to discuss all the news, rumors, and discussions going on in the video game world. I am one of your co-hosts, Kaylan, aka Ktastrophy, joined as always by my co-host, Adam, CSRadical. In this week's episode, we are going to be talking about E3 getting taken over by the PAX organizers. We're going to be talking about God of War Ragnarok, getting some more details and what 2022 is shaping up to be in terms of a gaming year. I think that's it. Adam, we're going to talk about guides as well and whether those are considered a form of cheating. Adam, with that being said, how are you doing, my friend?
I am a broken shell of a man after my Games Done Quick awfully silly hotfix run last night because I had to endure what was about an hour 40 minutes of what was quite possibly the worst game I have experienced in full.
So give us some details. What were they playing? How'd it go?
So my friend Oscar424, she was playing a game called The Quiet Man, which is a Square Enix 2008 epic third-person combat game that must have spent 95% of its budget on the full motion action or the full live action cutscenes, because the rest of the game, I'm pretty sure that was a game that was made in 1998, but then got given graphics that were made in 2012. So yeah, it's also really confusing, like Kojima mixed with Kingdom Hearts level confusing. So
oh man, that's a trifecta.
So it's really the game is bad because you have no idea what the hell's happening, and it's also bad just because it controls absolute dog shit. And the best part was I had no knowledge of this game going in, so I, for an hour 40 minutes, had to try and comment about something I couldn't understand at all. Not to mention, I don't even get audio of the game in my headset when I'm in the backstage doing the commentary, so I'm getting literally the least amount of context. I felt like I was just having to make it up as I went.
Yeah, just try to do that thing when you didn't prepare for a presentation in school and you're gonna ask questions, you're just giving the most vague answers possible.
I mean, I just ended up filling most of the void with wrestling memes and other things like that. I actually got the chat to spend 3 minutes talking about what their least favorite Square Enix game was, so
that's amazing.
I did a thing. Also, by the way, if anybody is here from that stream, because I plugged us on that show, awesome. Thank you for actually checking us out here. And I'm now double sorry because you saw that run and now you have to listen to this show.
Yeah. No, awesome. If you guys have joined us, thank you for joining us. Adam, if people want to see the Games Done Quick, are they able to see it recorded or
I don't know if they've put the VOD up of this stream, but if you do check twitch.tv/GamesDoneQuick, the feed, this would have been for the awfully silly episode. This would have been, if anybody's watching this well in advance either, this is from July 11th, 2022, okay, cool. In case somehow you're watching this from years in the future, in which case, how did you find these episodes?
No, it's great. They're going to be going through the annals of history and finding this podcast, and they're going to be man, 2022 was dope.
So this is how the best podcast in the history of planet Earth got to be where they were.
You know, they're going to go through the post-apocalyptic nuclear wasteland. Everything's just torn to shreds, and they're just going to find a hard drive with our videos on it, I guess. And they'll be this was the pinnacle of podcasting.
Our stuff. We're going to be literally the gods, Horizon Zero Dawn, but we're going to be the all fathers.
Exactly. So, yeah, we'll be the only thing that's known as from gaming. Adam, what have you been playing lately?
Honestly, not that much. This has been a break period from going too heavy into anything right now. I mean, I play the odd bit of Destiny 2 still. I've actually gotten a little bit back into Final Fantasy IV's randomizer, although I haven't been doing that as nearly as much now. But I think a lot of it's just been just playing multiplayer stuff with friends, golf with friends, killing Floor 2, things like that. It seems at this point I'm just waiting for Stray. That's really what's happening right now, and we're about a week away from that, so there you go.
Yeah. Did you see the trophy list that came out? Did you take a peek at that?
I mean, I don't care about trophies, so I didn't even think to look at it.
Fair enough. Yeah, I'm hearing it's going to be a couple hours. I think there's a trophy to beat the game in 2 hours or something like that, so...
I mean, I didn't expect the game to be that long to begin with, so it's not it's that surprising to me.
And with the power of PlayStation Plus Extra, you don't have to, lose out on any money paying for that. So
yeah,
good for you. I've been playing. I'm continuing my adventures in Elden Ring. I posted on our Twitter. I beat Godric, and I hate Stormville Castle. Stormville Castle sucks. I know some people who play Elden Ring say it's the best part. I hated it. I really liked Limgrave in terms of going out, exploring the open world, kind of going wherever the heck you want. And then you're in this castle with narrow corridors, not a lot of places to go. Didn't feel like there was a lot of secrets either. And then just these bullshit knights who just out of nowhere can like, they basically are these heavy armored guys who take forever to kill, but yet they are super nimble and fast. And I'm like, well, this kind of seems unfair, but yeah, I'm done with Stormville Castle. Never going back. I don't want to. It was no fun. But I was thinking about this, and I've been going through Elden Ring, and I'm having a blast. But I've been using a guide to go through this game. So I'm using a guide when I'm going through dungeons, like to figure out what's ahead, where I should be going, because the game is very unforgiving in terms of telling you where you're supposed to be, where you're not supposed to be, what level you're supposed to be at these. So I found I was spending a lot of time getting lost in this. And so I've been using guides to figure out where I should be going, what I should be doing. And my question to you is, Adam, is are guides a cheat? Do they take away from the experience of gaming? I was curious what your thoughts were. Because I'm of two minds and I want to see where you fell first.
I mean, it's pretty simple to me. Who the hell cares? Everybody's experience is going to be different with a game. Like I play when I play Persona games, I generally wait until a couple weeks so that way a max social link guide comes out, so I know instead of, because I know some people will hate this if you're a Persona fan, but I'm probably only going to play through the game once, so I want to get everything done. So with the max social links, it'll say, okay, on this day, do this, make sure you visit this person and get this done by this date so that you can unlock this event. And it's not because it's hard. It's just I want to be able to get everything done, and it's very easy to miss things if you don't schedule it properly because you don't know the schedule. You don't know that this person's here on this day. You don't know that this specific item is going to be necessary for this. Like, there's all these little things about it. And, sure, I could play through this game 3 different times or play through it once and try to not, jot down the best routes for it. Or I could just, if I'm only going to play this once, just get it all in so that way I don't feel like I've missed anything. And the same would go even for games that are a little bit more difficult or, in the case of if I can't figure something out, I'll go YouTube it and find out what the answer is instead of, it's not like the old days where I'd be bashing my head against a wall for 8 hours trying to figure out how to beat this one level of Battletoads, So...
Secret was you couldn't.
Well, yeah, there's also that. But, I think when I see the odd, it's not actually as bad as you would hear from people that complain between games that don't have easy modes or games that don't have hard modes and stuff like that. But I think the conversation that some people will say, well, you shouldn't be using guides, that's not the way it was intended, to which I go, okay, but that's you. It's not like the developers went out here and said you can't play this with a guide because that's not what we intended. Unless that's told to us specifically, it's fair game as far as I'm concerned. And even if they did say, well, you really shouldn't play this with, a guide the first time, screw you. I paid money to buy this game. I'll play it however I feel like playing it.
No, and I'm not trying to say one way is right or not, but are you losing something? Or are you cheating yourself of an experience by using a guide? And my thought for this, the one side of the camp I fall on is that with something like Elden Ring, it's very much Breath of the Wild in that sense of it's not like Horizon. It's the complete opposite of Horizon in the sense that there's no quest markers, there's no check marks, there's no icons to follow. You're basically dropped in a map. And the map is good. If you see something interesting on the map, generally there's going to be something interesting there. But the idea is that you are supposed to go explore and naturally learn and explore. And are people who use guides losing something out of that natural discovery aspect in using guides?
No, I don't think so, because I think it really is dependent on what it is. If you're playing a game for the first time and you're just following the guide the entire time, that's different. But, if you're all right, I've done a little bit of exploring in this area, let me just double check if there's anything on the map that I might have missed. Or in the case of, like I said earlier, if you're lost, I don't think there's any problem there because we live in an age now where time is, especially in our ages, we're getting older. We're not 14 and don't have anything to deal with. Time is a lot more limited now. I don't want to spend hours not knowing what to do. Can you imagine playing the old school, Zelda games where there's no direction, like Link's Awakening, for example, and having no idea what you're missing? It could have been the most, easy thing to miss, but you're just walking aimlessly trying to hit, the one thing that you didn't do.
then
Like
that's very much what I feel with Elden
like
Ring.
now you're not enjoying the game anymore. So I think as soon as it affects enjoyment, then you can have a case for it, whether it's looking up the guide or whether it's not looking up the guide. I think that that's the key here, because I could care less what the developer intended. I could care less what person outside of me cares about when it looks at this game. All I care about is my enjoyment affected by this, whether it's positive or negative. If it's negative, I probably shouldn't do it. If it's positive, you know what? I'll go for it.
Yeah. So for me, like, I do kind of feel like I am losing out a little bit of an experience with Elden Ring, but I think that the guide is basically what is going to let me finish this game. I mean, it is a large game and it does take a lot of patience and it takes a lot of understanding, a lot of practice. And so I feel like a guide kind of helps maximize my time because, like you said, guess what? Have a kid, you don't. Your video game time becomes precious, and I don't have time to bang my head against a wall to figure it out. And like, there's some obtuse aspects of Elden Ring. Like, I'm following a guide through Rhea Lucario's Academy. I think that's how you pronounce it. And like, there's a thing where it's like, hit this one random wall to reveal a secret. And I'm like, how am I supposed to know that? Like, there's no indication that this one particular wall turns, is a secret wall. And so I'm like, I want to kind of make sure that I can get through it. And so that's why I'm using the guide. But the other way I kind of equate it is that it's no different than when we were kids on the playground and, we'd all get together with our friends who were playing video games and be like, oh man, did you do this? Like, when you get to this point, look for this. And there's a secret behind there. And like, there's tons of times like that people have done that. Like, a lot of us figured out the whole thing about like Mew from Pokemon from talking with friends on the playground or sharing notes that way. Like, that's how we used to do it, kids, before the internet was a thing. Like, we'd always talk on the playground and share what what we found out about video games. And some of it was BS, some of it was crap, but some of it was true. And so, I mean, it's something that we kind of don't have anymore. Like, I can't really talk to Jerry from payroll about his experience with Elden Ring because he's 54 and doesn't play Elden Ring, and he's going to be like, what the hell are you talking about? So I feel like it's kind of not that dissimilar from when we were kids and sharing tips and tricks and everything with each other. But I do feel like there's something lost a little bit with doing guides. But hell, if this is the only thing that gets me through Elden Ring, totally fine with that.
Well, but the question too, right, is like, is what you're losing enough to be like, maybe I shouldn't do this? Or is it more just like, maybe I'm not getting the full experience, but at least I'm getting it in a condensed experience that I'm going to enjoy more?
Exactly.
Because it is a catch-22, right? Like, yeah, if you go in blind, it's certainly going to be a much different experience than if you go in, with something in front of you that you can periodically like glance at to see in case you miss something. Sure, because that means, if you plan, especially if you're planning on finishing a game more than once, then yeah, you can definitely suddenly, take a second run and find things in a much different light than you would before because you're now looking for different things rather than the things that you already know are there. So there's that too. But like I said, in my specific case for Persona 5, for example, I only plan on playing most games once, so I want to make sure I'm getting as much out of it as I can.
Yeah.
So I think it really is just, it's a case-by-case basis. It's up to you, the player. Like, if anybody has an opinion that says, like, it belongs to you, like when I say, yeah, I use a guide once in a while, I'm not saying you should too. I'm saying, for me personally, that's what I do. In the same case with you with Elden Ring, you're using a guide for things here and there. You, the viewer right now, may be thinking about playing Elden Ring, and you may just decide, you know what, I'm not going to do any guides. I'm just going to keep going at this and just try to figure it on my own. Cool.
Good luck.
If that's how your enjoyment ends up being, and you decide that like you're never going to use it, cool. And if that causes you to quit, that's what happens. And if it's the opposite, where like you get so much more of an enjoyment because you felt like you discovered everything on your own, then that's double cool. It really just depends on how you treat the game and how you experience it.
Yeah.
No, I don't think there's a right way, is what I'm trying to say. There just is your way.
Yeah. Yeah, I 100% agree with you. I was just kind of curious because I did fall in both camps, because I do have moments where I'm like, oh, it would have been kind of nice to figure this out for myself and find this for myself. But at the same time, I want to get through this game.
Well, I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of people that never played Final Fantasy VII that wish they hadn't heard, like, for 1,000 times in school that Aerith dies, but...
What?
Sometimes that's how it goes. It's like when you go see a Marvel movie and you got your one asshole friend who can't help but look at the Marvel spoiler subreddit and already knows the cutscene at the end.
Yeah, that guy's a dick.
Yeah.
Screw you, Rob. You know what you did. Adam, let's pivot over. Let's actually get into some news from gaming. I feel like the biggest news, or at least the one that I care most about, God of War Ragnarok is real and it is coming out this year. Yes. Super excited for this game. This is probably my most anticipated game of 2022. One of my favorite, if not my favorite game of the PS4 generation, God of War Ragnarok, the sequel to God of War 2018, aka God of War Boy. Um, yeah, did you get a chance to look at the reveal trailer?
What, the 30 seconds?
Yeah,
I mean,
like
it's
the
CG.
whole
It's CG. I can't say anything different about it. I'm assuming that because that trailer's out and we now have a release date, we'll probably be seeing a state of play solo pretty soon in the next like month or so.
Yeah, I'd say so. I'm surprised they didn't save like they didn't do a large big event like a PlayStation experience and have this be the case, like the showrunner.
I mean, they may just not have enough for an experience show right now. And like I said, like I think at this point, it's not going to be that surprising if by the time that we hit the end of August, we have a state of play specifically for it. Actually,
Yeah,
maybe not August, maybe September to kind of give it like that 2 month window of like, hey, just get ready.
oh, I'd say even October because I think they did April for Ratchet and Clank and that was in May.
I guess it really just depends on what if they have anything else going. Because who knows
Yeah,
what they'll be looking at the end of the year either. Because I mean, it's hard to tell because every time we think that there's like a couple of things slated for the end of the year, all of a sudden it gets delayed. Forspoken's now set for January next year now, so we continue to see
Forspoken.
stuff. Remember what I said?
Oh,
How I was surprised that it was going to be out this year.
yeah. But it's interesting how they phrased it because they didn't say like, "Hey, we need to work on it" or something like that. They're just like, "We made a strategic decision to hold off on it." It's like,
Which is
oh,
code
because
for
God of War,
it's
we
not
got out of
ready.
we got out of the way of God of War. No, I think it is ready. I think they're just like, no, we're not releasing this rate around the time of God of War.
Oh, so they're Skull and Bones then. They're just like,
Oh,
okay,
100%.
you guys can do that. We're gonna just walk away.
Yeah, yeah. Ubisoft and Skull and Bones are just like, God of what? Pfft,
If
we're not
they
as
keep
afraid of
that
them.
date, Skull and Bones is not gonna be good.
Oh, Skull and Bones is being sent out to die.
I
They're too
mean,
far invested that they just
you know
like
what? Can we take an aside and just talk about how that was one of the most uninspiring trailers I think I've ever seen?
I'm not convinced that they're not trying to do like the producers of this, like do the producers of this game and just tank it so they can claim it for like business tax laws or or
Like,
losses or something.
we talked after the quote unquote E3 that was this year, and me being like, I don't understand what was so interesting about Starfield. I don't know if there's a soul that looked at Skull and Bones and went, yeah, this looks like something I want to play.
Yeah. Yeah, it's oof, we'll see. We'll see. It does not look good. Did you take a look at the collector's edition of God of War? I
Actually,
was
ironically enough, the YouTube playlist just kept rolling, and sure enough, that's what's literally playing right now. So I can't
yeah,
imagine that you're going to get that.
I'm not actually.
Oh, really?
Yeah, to be honest, I was gonna say I'm kind of
You don't want a
unimpressed.
gigantic box?
No. Oh, I mean I do, like um but I mean I'm kind of underwhelmed by the stuff that's in there. Like I don't know, for me, like I love my collector's editions, but I like figurines. I'm looking right now, I've got an Ellie from The Last of Us Part 2, I've got a Thunder Tusk or whatever I've got the basically the woolly mammoth from Horizon Zero Dawn. And I've got like the God of War from 2018, and I like the figurines and stuff. Like that hammer just looks kind of lame, and I don't know what I'm gonna do with it. So, um, we'll see what the pricing is on this thing. But like for me, I just imagine that just being cheap plastic, and it's gonna feel like something you'd get at Walmart. And I don't. And granted, I know none of them are super high quality, sort of artistic work and stuff, but I don't know. It just not does not look impressive to me, and I'm kind of underwhelmed by the collector's edition. So
You know
I
that there's going to be a bunch of people that looked at this video and went, please sell those dice like separately so I can just get that.
literally the dice are the most interesting aspect of that, and that I'm interested more as a D&D player than a God of War fan right now. Like the only thing that appeals to me are the dice
And the
and the
box.
steel book.
Honestly, the
The steel
box.
books. The
No, no,
box
no,
is
not the
pretty cool.
steel box, the actual box. Oh,
Yeah.
I guess in the vinyl record if you're into vinyl.
I mean, I've got like yeah, but I mean, I don't have a vinyl record, so I don't care.
Well, like
I'm pretty
I'm
sure I
not
have a
gonna
vinyl.
lie, like if you're a D&D player, that box is like a great thing to have like all your stuff sitting in.
Yeah, it's a pretty sweet box. So Adam, we've talked briefly like Are you sold on God of War? Is this like a day one for you, or is this a wait and see? Or
I don't even know if there's any game really right now that I would even put as a day one, because it's very easy to, you know, just wait for reviews. Like, there's a chance that maybe, Jen and Chris over here might end up buying a day one and I could just get it by proxy. But if I have the choice right now, no. But it's not because I don't think God of War is going to be any good. It's just because it's like, if I can wait for it to drop a couple of bucks, and it's fine. Like, I don't need to rush to play this. I really did enjoy the last game, which it's still incredible to me because I didn't like the original series. But like,
it's like, yeah.
I'm not gonna sit here and say that like I'm like absolutely shaking in anticipation for this game. I'm more just like, I know this is gonna be good, but if I have to wait 2 or 3 more months, in the same vein that I did for Spider-Man, and the same thing that I would have done for Forbidden West had Chris not bought it and we console shared it. But like, most of the time, I can wait now because I have such a backlog that I can find something else to keep me busy, so I can wait for like at least $20 to come down. I also can see the reviews. I can see if there's maybe any patches that might have enhanced things. Maybe if it makes the frame rate better, things like that. Like, there's always an advantage for me to wait a month or two. Whereas like, it's not to say that my enjoyment's going to change that much, but at least now I can have like all the tools in front of me. And, I have time just in case that something was a catastrophic failure. I'm not saying that God of War Ragnarok is. It's very unlikely that it will be. But, that way I don't have to worry about, accidentally spending money that I did. Like Cyberpunk, thank God for that refund.
See, I'm the opposite. I am day one, but I'm not making the mistake I did with Horizon. I'm going to be I'm going to take the next day off of work this time. So I'm not spending my day off of work
just get better internet.
I mean, I've got good internet, but I had to download a whole game.
Yeah, but get better internet. I mean, you should all be able to always. I think you should be able to pre-download it though, or download the correct one.
No, because I buy the discs.
Oh.
Well, it's gonna be.
Well, that's a you problem.
I've got lots of them, but the problem is that the last one I bought the collector's edition. And the collector's edition only came with the digital, and it doesn't distinguish which one to download. And I was an idiot, and I downloaded the PlayStation 4 version. So, yeah, I'm not making that mistake again. I am taking the next day off once the game is loaded.
That's just your fault for going physical still, I guess.
You know what? Let Grandpa have his physical collection. Thank you very much, sir. So now that we kind of have a better picture, we're halfway through the year. We know that God of War is coming out in November, and I don't think we gave a date. I think it's coming
November 9th, I think.
Yeah, 9th or 8th or something like that. So, yeah. I think it's November 9th. You're right. Yeah, it is November 9th. 2 days shy of when Starfield was supposed to come out. So, ironically, they did not take that spot. But, Adam, I thought it'd be a good time for us to chat. Just generally, we're halfway through the year. We've seen what the first half of 2022 is. We now get a better glimpse of what the last half of 2022 is. And I'm curious, what are your thoughts? Are we past the best part of the year? Is the best yet to come? And how is 2022 going to look like in rearview mirrors? Is this going to be seen as a good year for gaming, or is it going to seem as a weak game? What are some of the things that I think stand out?
Well, I don't think you're going to get better than Elden Ring based on just how it's like one of the most critically acclaimed games we've seen in the last 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if anything's going to top that. I'm just quickly scrolling down what Metacritic's top games of this year were, just to kind of get a sense of where we're at. I mean, I think there's room to grow. I mean, the fall generally is supposed to be where all the big stuff hits. So it's possible that we might not be at the best part of the year yet, but at the same time, so much stuff got delayed that the fall is not looking nearly as good as we thought it was going to be. Because right now, like I said, you're looking at Elden Ring that's come out, you're looking at the Ninja Turtles game, you're looking at Horizon Forbidden West, you're looking at Neon White, which is a game I actually am really excited to get around to playing.
Yeah, I've heard lots of good things about that.
I'm trying to think what else would have been.
We've got Sifu that came out.
I'm scrolling. Well, Sifu didn't get nearly as well.
No, but I'm just talking generally. Like I think despite where we thought this year was going to start, I think it's going to turn out to be pretty strong. Like you said, like those games you mentioned, plus Sifu. Tunic came out. Cyberpunk 2077 had a second release, and it's doing really well.
Like there's a pretty solid run of games in the first 6 months so far.
Mm-hmm.
But it's hard. Again, it's so hard to tell because we're still going based off of our memory, which we're going to remember a lot more in the past than we are in the last 6 months, especially you and I, because we don't play everything that comes out in the same year.
Like Star Wars was amazing.
So it's going to be difficult to kind of differentiate between this year and all the others. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and say it's a bad year yet. I don't think there's any reason to, when you have, like, especially just with Horizon and Elden Ring alone, you have two pretty solid games to staple to this year and say, hey, these are two pretty solid games, and God of War might be able to be a nice, like, podium to round that out. And not to mention that there's still quite a bit to come. I mean, not as much as we thought they were going to be, because games like Forspoken, Starfield, etc. are no longer in this year, but there's still things like, obviously, Stray will be out next week. There's that Live Alive remake that's being brought to Switch. I'm trying to think. Saints Row might actually surprise me. Might actually be good, although I'm not that confident about it. Not to mention Marvel
Splatoon
Midnight
3.
Suns. What did you say, sir?
We got like, even Nintendo's coming out with a good year. Like, they got Splatoon 3.
Mm-hmm.
They've got oh my god, what's that Mario?
Oh, the Rabbids.
Yes, what the hell is it called?
I couldn't tell you what the full.
Oh my
name is
god,
right
how
now.
have I forgotten what this game's called?
I'm trying to scroll to see if I can find it on the list.
Oh my
too,
god,
and it's not working.
what is it called?
Sparks,
how do I
Sparks
not-
of Hope.
Yeah, but what's that series called?
You mean
Mario
Mario plus Rabbids?
Oh my god, is that really what it's called?
Yeah, Mario plus Rabbids Sparks of Hope.
Oh my god, I'm an idiot. Yeah, we got like Gotham Knights coming out, which, I mean, I'm curious to see what that looks like. Plague Tale
Yeah.
Requiem's coming out.
There's even
Right.
things like
Midnight
Biomutant, Diofield Chronicle. What was it?
Last of Us Part 1 remake coming out. Yes.
I mean, I don't think.
Shut up!
I don't think
Shut up! Don't bring me down.
I don't
Don't
think
bring me down.
Overwatch 2 is going to be included on that list, even though it's supposed to be out this year. Trying to look further. Scorn is an interesting title that I still got to look at.
I think
I'm
they're-
now
I
into
think this year-
November. November's pretty basic, except for really Skull and Bones and God of War right now. I mean, there is
Skull and
Pokemon
Bones.
Scarlet and Violet, but let's be honest, I think we're too old for Pokemon these days.
Yeah, you
And
do
I guess
you,
other
if
than
that's your
that,
thing.
Callisto Protocol, if you're looking for more Dead Space contents. But that's everything that I think we know of that's coming out this year still. So, I mean, unless more stuff gets announced in the next couple of months leading into the fall, I mean, am I going to sit here and say it's going to be an amazing second half of this year? No, it's not slated to look like it. It looks like you're going to have maybe a good couple of gems, but I don't know if this is like pound for pound overwhelming. It certainly isn't. We knew that as soon as all these E3-esque video packages ended, where we were like, oh wow, this year has nothing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I definitely, I think that the best part of the year is probably past us, and there are still going to be some signs of life, like I said, with God of War. Skull and Bones, is going to be the linchpin of the year, kind of what we're all looking forward to, I'm sure.
It almost feels like the anticipation is going to be Sony's big presentation, if they do an experience this year.
Are they going to, though?
I think they should. Because, I mean, they haven't done a big one yet. Like, they did that one State of Play that we liked, but that was still a State of Play. I figure in either in November or December, because when was the one from last year? Was it not, like, late end of last year?
Yeah, I think it was like September, October.
It's
just curious, like what would they show? Because like my thought
I
process
don't know.
is
That's
that,
a Sony problem to figure out, not mine.
well, here's the thing, because like Gorilla, unless they have DLC for Horizon, which I don't know if they would. So Gorilla's
It's not
gone.
showing the date. That is
And
rude.
And then you have Santa Monica, who's going to be releasing God of War. So once again, unless they're you know what, they could be doing it in September, October, and then doing the big reveal on that. Sucker Punch is pretty tied up. Like they
Oh, is
just
that
came up.
It was September. Shit.
So yeah, they could do it for God of War. So like I just don't know if they have enough to show there, but I think it's definitely possible. But I don't think it's gonna be a huge banger because I think a lot of their big stuff, they're still tied up. Insomniac is probably, we don't have a release date yet for Spider-Man, do we? It's not. Oh no, it is 2023.
Well,
Or
I
we
think
guessing
we
that?
have like years we're expecting it, but I don't think we have like official dates of anything right now.
Yeah, so we could get a trailer. I don't know. We'll see.
I think they could put something together for an experience. It may not be at the same level of like what some of the other ones have been, but I mean, you've got like all these new studios like Haven, which is now officially confirmed, like the deal is done. But like, there's no reason that they can't do like a big event in the same thing that what Microsoft did. Like, they kind of have to do something, especially if VR2 is coming out next year as well.
Yeah. Yeah,
So
it'll
like
be interesting to see.
I think a large portion of this year is going to, or a large portion of the last 6 months of this year is going to be anticipation of 2023. I think that's going to be the big key of the next 6 months.
Yeah. But I mean, considering what the year started out as, I mean, I don't think we had really high hopes for this year. And is it gonna be a pinnacle year? No, I don't think so. But I think it's gonna stick the landing in terms of being more successful than not.
In all honesty, though, I don't think this year was ever going to be good because since semblance of normality has happened during this year, I don't think people are nearly as interested in keeping up with the gaming industry so much as they've been trying to like get things back in order again in their own daily life. So
Mhm.
like if any time for not a dead year, but like a slower year or a lighter year, this is probably a good one to have it as we get
Mhm.
back into that transition.
Yeah. Speaking of transitions, let's talk about E3, who once again is in the news with a transition of their own. So this is coming from Video Game Chronicles' Andy Robinson. They write, PAX organizers ReedPop is officially taking over E3. We'll reshape what didn't work. The veteran events company pledges to create a new benchmark for video game expos. So they write, ReedPop, the event company behind PAX, EGX, Star Wars Celebration, and New York Comic Con will officially take over the running of E3 in 2023. The entertainment software ESA announced the news on Thursday. This was last Thursday, following the recent confirmation that the flagship show will return in June 2023 for its first in-person event in 4 years. As well as running high-profile events in the US and Europe, ReedPop is the owner of Gamer Network, which runs websites such as Eurogamer, GamesIndustry.biz, VG247, and Rock Paper Shotgun, and is the network partner for VGC. Commenting on the news, ReedPop said the E3 2023 would welcome back publishers, developers, journalists, content creators, that's us, manufacturers, buyers, and licensors, and and also highlight digital showcases and feature in-person consumer components. Their claim is that they've listened to the feedback from the gaming community and would honor what has always worked and about the games industry event while reshaping what didn't. So my question to you, Adam, what did work with E3? What didn't work, and what should ReedPop be doing with this? Are you excited?
Well, I mean, for us personally, this isn't going to mean too much because what ReedPop is going to do is make E3 in person a much different event. So for us, I don't think it's going to change much unless we're actually going, in which case, well, who's paying for my flight? Because I can't afford
Let's
that
do
shit. it. Like what's worked in terms of like the stuff that we have access to, being able to watch online. I think when it was at its best, before the pandemic, was just, having the flurry of all these different press conferences, albeit some of them were never any good. Like Square Enix always showed their F game. But like when you had Sony and Microsoft and Nintendo on their own, they were still doing it around the same time, but it was in their own digital experience. You had everything like we had this conversation before. Everything was condensed in a week. So you knew that everybody was bringing their best on the same part of the year. So you
It
knew
wasn't even a week; it was a weekend.
Yeah, well, I
Like
mean,
E3 was a week,
you would
but
look at like Friday to like Tuesday, depending on who was
yeah,
doing what when. So it really was like almost a week. So like you had a much more condensed version of what we've seen in the last couple of years. So I think that's probably what made it better. I still don't have a problem with the way things are now, but that's also because I like having smaller amounts here and there so that at least it keeps something going. At least it keeps us talking. Like, thank God almost in a weird way that these things happen now because we'd have less to talk about if it all just got put in 1 week. So like it would be all hands on deck for us for like 2 weeks. And then for the rest of the year, it's like, well, somebody said that this game might be coming out. So
yeah.
it's a give or take. But like in terms of what the show actually is, in terms of at the event, I can't really comment because I'm not there. All I've heard about is that, I mean, for the most part, it's just you standing in line for 3 hours to play 5 minutes of a game, which doesn't sound that interesting. So if ReedPop, who does New York Comic Con PAX East, take that over, that sounds to me like that event's going to become less of just a trade show and more of a gamer event, which I think if that's still going to happen in California would be great because it'd be like San Diego Comic Con, but specifically gaming related, which I think would be a very good thing to do. I'm pretty sure I'm assuming there's a PAX West, but like.
Yep.
you know, it would just be like, this is the PAX West, but this is where all the main developers congregate to show off their stuff. If that's how it works, that's a fantastic thing to do. And it's just a matter of ironing out how to make that work, to which I can't do that because I have no experience in organizing these kind of events. I'm assuming, though, that because it's ReedPop, who has quite a bit of successful experience, I might add, of doing that, probably have a better grasp on it than I could ever do. So,
Adam, don't sell yourself short. Sure, you have no experience in the industry or trade shows, but sir, you have a podcast. You are entitled to vocalize an opinion regardless of how.
All right, well, I think the best way
to
make this event better is to give me free tickets and pay for my flight and my hotel and all. Yeah, you know, like that. What else am I going to say?
I mean, I'm just saying E3 has not been good since there's been a PixelPlay podcast, and it hasn't gotten there. So, I mean,
so what you're saying is E3's never been good. All right. Good
no, I'm just saying, like, the PixelPlay podcast has only been around for a year and a half, and E3 has only not been good for the last.
E3 hasn't been here since we've started, really.
Right? So I'm just saying,
so
if you want to make it good,
it might be our fault.
Oh my God, what have we done?
It might not be. It might not be that like they've been screwing it up because of. I think we might have caused it.
We can only have one thing in the universe, either the podcast or E3.
We'll know for sure if there's no E3 next year, in which case we probably should cancel the podcast.
Okay, deal. We've got to.
Or, you know, actually, no. We won't cancel it. We'll rename it first for one more year to see if that does anything.
We'll rebrand. Yeah, I think for me, like, the linchpin of a successful E3 in any capacity is getting those big announcements and those big shows. That is E3, and that is why, like, Summer Game Fest, you know, cool on Jeff Keighley for doing it, but like, it does not have the same cachet that E3 had. Like, I remember being older than I'd like to admit, taking days off or coercing my way into working from home the days that like E3 conferences were going, so I could watch E3 while I was working. And I think that's the key. So like, they need to somehow attract it. They need to get people like Microsoft. They need to get people like Sony. And it's a really hard sell right now because it is not in the advantage of the developers and the publishers to do a press conference during E3 because, hey, I'm going to announce something, and then immediately after, I've got my competitor like biting at my heels to come next and then theoretically dunk on my presentation like Sony did that one year where they're just like, here's how you share a game with the PS4, and they just hand it. Like, that's a terrible look from Microsoft, and I can understand why like Sony might be like, hey, we don't want to do that because we're, you know, our message gets lost in a whole bunch of other people's announcements.
I mean, to be fair, for Microsoft's case, you could have just not had a shitty idea.
I mean, you know,
or in the
different things.
Like,
but
and here's that argument in response, like as a fan, because again, I don't care about the business aspect because I don't have fucking stock. But if that's what somebody's nervous about, like if Microsoft or Sony's nervous, like, well, if we go there, maybe the other competition will dunk on us. I'm like, then don't fucking suck.
No,
I'm not even saying suggestion.
I'm not even saying dunking, but like the idea that if PlayStation said next week, hey, we're doing a PlayStation experience next week, they have that whole area to themselves. No one's going to go in around them. They're going to have their own moment in the sun. Whereas in E3, you're sharing that with a whole bunch of other people. And granted, you're benefiting from the fact that there's a lot of eyes on that event. And like, you might pull more than if you did your own show. But I think there needs to be more enticing factor for developers to come back other than just, hey, we're E3. So
yeah, I mean, from an enticing standpoint, that's different. But like, as a fan, I want them all in the same week because that's going to force them to actually have to bring out their A game because all the competition's right next to them.
Me too. And like, Summer Game Fest does not compare to E3. And I love how they say that a notable competitor has emerged. And I'm like, really? Notable competitor?
It was a notable competitor the first time because no one emerged.
Yeah.
Now it's just like, if Summer Game Fest is a complimentary piece, I'm happy with that, honestly.
Yeah, it could totally be a part of it. Same with like the Devolver Digital show. Like, cool.
Like if Summer Game Fest is like, let's say they do the way that it always is, where it starts really on Friday, works its way into like Nintendo doing their own thing at the end on Tuesday. If you have Jeff come in as like the Thursday pre-show where he has like mostly indie stuff and then has like one or two really cool things that you're surprised to see there, that's a pretty good like kickoff. And then you get set for when the companies do their big setup. Or even like Summer Game Fest just being something more fun in terms of like you have like cool like musical acts and stuff there, or you have like funny like comedy skit packages that get sent in where you have like celebrity cameos and stuff. I think there's a way to make it a nice complimentary piece without it trying to be like the same as Microsoft's conference, because you're never going to, because you're not going to get the sheer volume. It's
they're not going to give you your...
You're not going to watch the PC gaming show and assume it's going to blow you away. You're not going to watch, Devolver Digital and assume you're going to get blown away. You're not going to watch like the Future Games show and think you're going to get blown away. But people honestly watched Summer Game Fest this year and thought they were going to see the best games ever on that show. And no, you weren't. Although, there was no I guess to be fair, you didn't really get many good ones either. So,
yeah, Ubisoft is going to hold their skull and bones because they don't want to give away the A material, sooner, like, to someone else, right?
Negative A material, you mean?
I said what I said. So I think it comes down to getting the big people. The other thing I'd like to see is, like, I think it does need to become more of a community event. Make it more like a Gamescom-esque experience, right? Imagine doing like you've seen PlayStation before doing like the PlayStation Experience Live kind of stuff, and that was awesome. And they don't do that anymore. And I think it would just be great to have a whole area that just celebrates games, and it becomes kind of like a Star Wars celebration where people come from all over the country, all over the continent, all over the world. I'm going to put an asterisk. I'm sure somebody does, just to come check it out, see these press conferences, play these games, do that kind of stuff. Like, I think it's really cool, and so that's what I'd like to see happen.
Yeah,
it's those big conferences. That's what it needs.
Yeah, it makes sense too. Like, E3 started out supposed to just be a trade show. That's all it was. And as soon as things have changed over the years, like they started showing the conferences, and that would get big hits. And now let's be honest, it's become a fan event. And they tried to change it a little bit before the pandemic. Now that ReedPop's involved, I think they understand what this event actually is now. And it's just San Diego GamerCon. Like, that's really what E3 is now. So make it that, and it doesn't take much to keep the E3 spirit alive, because you're still going to have all the booths, you're still going to have the conferences, it's all going to be presumably there, but it's all going to still be there. Now you just see what else you can add to it to enhance that now.
Yeah, and I mean, if you get to the point where it becomes a fan show, you can now start charging admission. You can theoretically start paying these large developers and publishers.
As far as I'm concerned, like, what I don't know what happens when the conferences aren't on the main stages, but like, surely there is other things you can do with some of the other rooms in the convention area that you can have shows, whether it's, community events like what Games Done Quick does, where you have like esports content or speedrunning content or game demos, like showcases, or like things like that, where even that's like something else to do when you don't just want to stand in line for 2 hours to play the new Mario that you're going to get like 2 minutes of before somebody taps you on the shoulder and says, hey, there's about 2,000 people behind you that also want to play this. Get the fuck out.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see where it goes. I've always wanted E3 to come back. I miss E3, and I hope it comes back stronger than ever.
And also, like, I don't know what's at all these, what used to be at E3, but man, you should be going to E3, and not only should Sony have like a bunch of consoles that you can play on, there should be walls of merch.
Oh yeah.
They should be selling so much goddamn merch at that table.
I would drop tons of cash there.
Which is why I really shouldn't go.
Adam, let's wrap up the show. As always, ladies and gentlemen, we finish off with a little game we called Trophy Stumpers, where I give Adam 10 trophies, and he has to guess it as soon as possible. He gets 2 tries. Are you ready for this one, sir?
I will do my best.
We'll have to accept that. So let's get going. First trophy, Divine Intervention.
Okay.
Second one Marches On.
Okay.
Fever Pitch.
All right, that threw me a curveball right there. Baseball joke. Unintentional baseball joke, no less. Okay.
Gong Hammer. Gong Hammer.
Speaking of things that are going to make me go completely off pattern. Okay.
And Winds of War.
Winds, like winds,
5.
like the air winds or winds.
Like
okay.
Like blowing wind, yeah. Sorry for everyone who was listening. I just had to listen to me blow into the mic.
Yeah, how could you?
So that the first 5 trophies: Divine Intervention, One Marches On, Fever Pitch, Gong Hammer, Winds of War. Okay.
Wow. Okay.
Dauntless Dragon.
Dauntless Dragon.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Well-Timed Trumpet.
I got 2 guesses anyway, so I'm just gonna throw Elden Ring for fun since you're playing it right now.
It is not Elden Ring.
Okay.
I'm not that transparent. Number 8, Clang Clang.
Clang Clang?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
So Divine Intervention, One Marches On, Fever Pitch, Gong Hammer, Winds of War, Dauntless Dragon, Well-Timed Trumpet, Clang Clang.
Wait, was that my 10 already? Oh, okay.
No, you got 2 more. Number 9, Ready to Rock and Roll.
All right.
And last one is The Beat of Your Own Drum.
Oh no, this doesn't help at all.
All right, one more time. I'll go from number 10 down to number 1. So The Beat of Your Own Drum, Ready to Rock and Roll, Clang Clang, Well-Timed Trumpet, Dauntless Dragon, Winds of War, Gong Hammer, Fever Pitch, One Marches On, and Divine Intervention.
I have no idea where to go with this.
This is one that you're gonna like. After I tell you, you're gonna be like, "Yeah, all the clues were there." What kind of themes are you getting? What kind of ideas do you have?
I mean, the only thing I can think of is fantasy related, but
okay.
I'm just trying to think what would apply with all of those.
Any loops? Anything that's thrown you off?
All of it?
Fair enough. Do you have one more guess, sir?
Because some of the names are goofy enough, and because I just hear Dragon, the only thing I can say is I'm just going to throw Yakuza 0 in there.
It is not Yakuza 0, because that was last week's game, sir.
Oh, was it?
It was.
You know how good my memory is.
You're going to kick yourself. The game was Patapon.
Why would I kick myself for Patapon?
You might have got it. Did you ever, have you ever seen
I played Patapon, but, that was definitely not where I was going.
So the clues I had for you, and if
I like it's so I'm assuming a lot of it's because of the rhythm stuff, right, with the drumming and stuff.
So the ones that I kind of was gonna give the hints was the One Marches On, so like the Patapon's marching across the screen, the Winds of War kind of being like, oh, it's like there's a war kind of thing, Well-Timed Trumpet, like playing the musical instruments, and Ready to Rock and Roll, and The Beat of Your Own Drum. Those were the big ones that stood out. Yeah,
I only played a little bit of it because my girlfriend was the one who had the PSP with that copy, so I didn't play a lot of it.
Fair enough.
But yeah, it's from what I played of it, I did like it, and it was pretty well liked on the PSP. So, but yeah,
it was a great game.
I'm not upset at all that I didn't get that one. I was sitting there being like, it's gonna be something stupid like Skyrim or something, but no.
No, I thought that was like. I think it'd be a challenging one, but I didn't think it was like unfair. I think
one. No, I wouldn't say it was unfair. It was just, PSP is not the console I would immediately be looking for. I'll just have to start thinking more about a little outside the box instead of just thinking big names now. They're gonna throw PSP games at me.
Patapon is a big franchise. People know that franchise. It is.
Is it though?
Don't be mad just because you don't know the game.
I said I played the game. Don't you put that.
So then you have no excuse.
Is it such a big game though? Is it?
Is it really?
Because when was the last one?
I think they just came out with a remake.
Can you even answer when the last one was? Do you even know how many there are?
There are 2 Patapon games.
You are already incorrect. There are 3.
There you go. Even more reason why you should know. There's 3 of them. And there's a remake, I think.
And it's been more than 10 years since that came out. So is it really that big?
Hey, we didn't have a rule about like the length of how long it had to be. It just had to have trophies or achievements.
Well, yeah, but you're sitting here acting like it's some big, well-known series, and it's like, well, it's a game that was.
I never said big. I don't know if I said big. I just said a well-known. I said it was known. We'll have to look back and see. So
I'm not even gonna roll back the tape because it's more enjoyable to go.
Yeah, having that plausible deniability.
Right.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, if you think that trophy stumper was BS, feel free to send your own. You can send us your trophy stumper list. Give us 10 trophies from a game. Send it to pixelplaypodcast@gmail.com. If you want to be part of the conversation, let us know what you think about guides. Let us know what you want to see from E3 or just generally your thoughts on the gaming year of 2022. Let us know by reaching out to us on Twitter or Instagram by searching PixelPlaycast. Or if you want to just have a chat in our Discord, reach out to us on the Discord. It's in our link tree below. You can join us and have a conversation with us and other fellow fans. And with that, we're going to sign off there. So, Adam, thank you so much again. Any closing thoughts before we wrap up?
Patapon is not a big game.
Never said it was. Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for sticking with us. If you are still listening, we greatly appreciate it. We'd appreciate if you either leave us a review or subscribe. We are working our way towards 100 subscribers, and we are almost there. In that we are over halfway. So please subscribe to us. We would greatly appreciate it. Tell your friends, tell everyone you know, tell the people you don't know. Just, it's a great opener. Say, hey, have you listened to the Pixel Play podcast? You should check them out. We'd greatly appreciate it. I'm rambling now, so I'm going to let you go. Bye for now.